Chapter 4, Whispers from the Grave. The librarian's warning lingered in my mind as James and I left the library. Determined, we made our way to the Hawthorne estate, a crumbling mansion shrouded in local ghost stories. The estate was breathtaking in its decay. Ivy snaked up the stone walls, broken windows glinting like jagged teeth. James hesitated at the rusted gate, his voice low. "This is where Isabella grew up. I've never been here." The air grew heavier as we entered. The scent of damp wood and lavender, Isabella's favorite perfume, according to her diary, wafting faintly. Inside, the mansion was a ruin. Broken furniture, shattered mirrors, and dust layered everything like a shroud. In the study, James discovered a locked drawer in an ornate desk. After prying it open with his pocket knife, he uncovered a bundle of letters tied with red ribbon. The letters, addressed to my dearest Henry, were confessions of love. Isabella had written about her longing to escape and her fear of her father's wrath. "Father would never approve of us," one letter read. "But when I'm with you, the world feels right." The last letter was frantic, the ink smeared. "Henry, Father knows about us. Meet me at the cottage tomorrow night. I'll explain everything." "What happened at the cottage?" I whispered. Before James could answer, a loud thud echoed from upstairs. We froze, exchanging wide-eyed glances. We climbed the staircase cautiously, following the noise to a bedroom at the end of the hall. Inside, the room was bare except for a wardrobe, and a single item on the floor, a silver locket. James picked it up, his fingers trembling. The locket opened to reveal a tiny photograph of Isabella and the initials, H.W. engraved on the back. "This must have been Henry's," James said. A sudden chill ran down my spine, as though unseen eyes were watching us. "Let's go," I urged. We left the mansion quickly, the air outside a relief. But as we walked back to town, unease settled over me. The past wasn't done with us yet. Chapter 5. Shadows Unveiled. The next morning, James and I sat in my cottage, poring over the letters we had found. The silver locket rested between us on the table, a silent witness to Isabella's story. "These letters confirm what we suspected," James said, his brow furrowed. "She and Henry planned to escape, but something or someone stopped them." I nodded, my thoughts spinning. But who? And why would the town go to such lengths to hide it? Before we could speculate further, there was a knock at the door. It was Mrs. Whitmore, my elderly neighbor. She glanced at James before stepping inside, her usual warmth replaced with caution. "I heard you've been asking about the Hawthornes," she said, her voice low. "You should be careful. That family has a way of silencing things they don't want uncovered." Her words sent a chill through me, but I pressed on. "Mrs. Whitmore, do you know anything about Isabella or Henry?" She hesitated, then sighed. "When I was young, Isabella was the talk of the town. Beautiful. Spirited but trapped under her father's thumb. She fell in love with a man named Henry Walker, the son of a gardener. Their relationship was a scandal. Edward Hawthorne would never allow his daughter to marry beneath her station." "What happened to Henry?" James asked, leaning forward. "No one knows," she replied. "After Isabella disappeared, Henry vanished too. Some say he left town out of grief. Others think he met a darker fate." Her words lingered after she left, filling the room with a heavy silence. James broke it by suggesting we visit the cemetery. "If Henry and Isabella are connected, we might find something there," he said. The Windmere cemetery was tucked away on a hill, its weathered tombstones leaning like forgotten memories. We searched for any sign of Isabella or Henry, but it was James who called out first. "Over here," he said, pointing to a small, unmarked gravestone. It was tucked beneath a willow tree, its inscription worn smooth by time. As we stood there, a gust of wind swept past, carrying with it the faint scent of lavender. James knelt, brushing away the leaves covering the base of the stone. Beneath the grime, 2 faint initials emerged, H. "Isabella Hawthorne," he whispered, his voice tight. "But why is her grave unmarked? And who buried her here?" I had no answer. All I knew was that this discovery was only the beginning. The secrets of the past were closer than ever, but the more we uncovered, the more dangerous the truth felt. Chapter 6: The Final Clue. James and I couldn't shake the feeling that the unmarked grave was a key to everything. As the days passed, we spent hours piecing together the mystery, but nothing seemed to fit. We needed answers that could only come from one last place, the Hawthorne family estate. Determined, we made our way back to the mansion, this time under the cover of darkness. The moon hung low, casting long shadows over the property. The gate creaked as we entered, and I felt a familiar unease settle over me. Inside, everything was still as we had left it, empty, except for the echoes of the past. James led the way to the library where the family's records were kept. The large oak bookshelf creaked as he pulled a heavy tome from its place. It was a ledger, filled with names and dates from generations past. "There's gotta be something here," he muttered. Flipping through the pages, we found a name that stood out: Henry Walker. He was listed as an employee at Hawthorne Estate, working as a gardener, but there was more. The last entry for him was written in a hasty, rushed hand. Disappeared after a confrontation with Edward Hawthorne. Last seen near the cottage. Never returned. Edward killed him, I said softly, realizing the truth. James looked up, his face pale. It makes sense. Isabella's father must have found out about their affair and ended it. A chill ran through me. The story we'd been uncovering was darker than we had ever imagined. "I know where we need to go," James said, grabbing my arm. "The cottage." Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe Fluent Through Stories, and share this story with your friends. Stay tuned for our next story. See you soon.